Is it me or does Scott look more like Matt Hasselbeck every day?
Oh my God. He needs to have a ball in the background.
I feel like when I get a haircut, there is hair on the top of my head, but I feel like I look like Marlon Brando from Apocalypse Now. I'm starting to have a little bit of body shaming. I'm not quite sure it's the look I want to go for.
Oh.
Or Lex Luthor, however you want.
Take the razor
Member
to it.
Miller, are you ready to open?
Yes.
You look good to Scott. Scott.
You may
Good
open the
afternoon,
meeting now.
everyone. It is 11 a.m. on November 2nd, and I will call this City of Lacey Transportation Committee meeting to order. Thank you for all for being here. Do we have an agenda? Can I get approval of a motion to approve the agenda, please?
I would move to approve it as written. Or I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded. I'm not sure how that's going to be transcribed, but I'm very interested to see how it turns out in the notes. All in favor, say aye.
Hey, hold on. Aye. Scott had his hand up. He probably had a suggestion like Ollie Ollie Oxenfree or something like that. I don't know.
Did you have something for the good of the order for the agenda, Scott?
After you're done approving the agenda, I just wanted a chance to talk for a second before you get going with the contents of the meeting.
Roger that. Do we have a second? Do we? Has it been seconded?
We've got
Exactly.
That motion passes. Thank you. You have something for us, Mr. Egger?
Yeah, so I just wanted to make a couple of introductions. Number one, since I don't know that you may know Scott Johnston, but he was promoted to the transportation maintenance supervisor position in late June, and he's doing amazing things. I was hoping that Scott Devlin was going to be on board because Scott Devlin was promoted to operations manager in late July. And, Terry Cargill, our previous operations manager, retired in January. We did a number of interim positions before we conducted interviews, and Scott Devlin is also doing a phenomenal job. So just so you're clear, Scott Johnston reports to Scott Devlin, who reports to Scott Egger, who reports to Scott Spence. So
Are you serious?
Name Scott, your
Hey,
chance
hey,
promoted.
who does Scott Spence report to?
7.
Okay.
7 bosses.
So, and with that, it looks like we have a transportation maintenance overview as our first agenda item. And with that, I will hand it over to Scott Johnston.
See here, I will be sharing the transportation PowerPoint. We'll go over slightly the different departments that we have here and take step by step through those. So let me get this switched over for you. You have it now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, and Scott Devlin came in too, just so you guys know.
Excellent.
Perry didn't realize that I was named Zoom 8.
Zoom 8.
Nor did I.
Don't step in Zoom number 2.
So the transportation department consists of 22 full-time employees. We've got 7 seasonals that help us during the summertime when we have a lot more work to do during the summertime as far as mowing storm ponds, doing like the buttons on the road, doing crack sealing, things of that nature. We just need the extra crews to, for traffic control and stuff like that as well. So during the summertime, we'll usually around May, we'll hire for a 6-month period, 7 folks that help fill in those positions so that we can get more done when the weather's nicer. You'll see each one of the senior techs Most of them have been here for some time. Eric and Georgina, probably the longest. Stefan's been here about 17, 18 years, I believe. And then Sarah, about 8, I believe. And then you've got the rest of the folks here. The stormwater department is actually one of the only utility in our group. They will go out. This is actually them adding a storm basin on 24th Avenue, which is the paving is being finished at this time. And they have a 47 storm ponds that they have to take care of along a total of about 110 acres. 6,100 catch basins are right in that area. They've got 15 oil water separators, and then they've got vaults and things like that that they also have to address over time. We have 2 street sweepers that are currently operating, and in fact, the Parks Department actually rents a sweeper too to assist in some of those heavier areas where they're taking care of right-of-ways. So that helps us a ton too, getting rid of some of those leaves. We've currently, our storm department Vector is broke down. So we're really relying on these street sweepers to keep up with the leaves and stuff like that. So the crews went through and had cleaned all the basins out. So we're good there. But until that comes back up online, the street sweepers are keeping us in good form right now. With the storm department also comes illicit discharge issues. We have over 100 calls a year usually. This year we've had 100 calls as well already. And those are usually from car accidents where there's antifreeze, oils, stuff like that that hit the ground. We have to make sure we catch those and try and catch them before they hit any basins, drains, or anything that can get into our water systems. So the crews, even the standby people in the evenings, are pretty prompt at arriving at those places and have all been trained accordingly. There are 7 people on that staff. One of them that is primarily business storm systems, the private businesses that he goes around and inspects their storm systems. The rest of them are, we have 2 street sweepers, and then the rest of them are in the stormwater care. This is one of our storm ponds down by City Hall, actually, over on the St. Martin's property. This is one of the 3 little lakes that they have out there that we take care of. The signs and marking department is, they take care of every sign in the city of Lacey. They make some here at the shop, but we can also order some of the basic standard ones. All of our street signs that label our streets are done in-house. They take care of those. You see them here putting buttons down. So every year they'll go through and make sure our buttons aren't worn, that the reflective capabilities are still there. And it's kind of how you can tell if you're in the county or the city, is the little buttons on the road. Well, that's always an easy way for when we get call outs at night. You can kind of tell if you're in Lacey or the county. This is our crew out there doing that this summer. I actually went out and did this for a little while this summer. That pot is about 400 degrees and sitting directly in front of you. It is quite the job. They take care of about 113 miles of raised pavement markers, 9,242 street signs, the labels and stuff like that that you see in intersections. A lot of them are put down with heat. They take care of all of those as well. Crosswalks, things of that nature. And 93 miles of lane edge road line. They have 3 people year round and 2 seasonals. The 2 seasonals are here when we're doing our button work and putting down new crosswalks and things of that nature, just because you need the personnel. And currently our 2 regular folks are out for some time. So we're a little shorthanded in that department, and you'll see other departments in transportation come in and assist them when they need help currently. Right here's one of the temporary signs. You can't read it because you can't really take a picture of these things without it not showing up. But this is for our electrical department. Is one of the cabinets that runs our street intersections. we've got 5,343 streetlights that we take care of. Some of them are PSE type things, and some are ours. We currently have about 44% of them have been converted to LED, which is a grant program that we are involved with, that we take care of the lights, even if they're PSE. PSE has a grant, and we also have a grant that's helping pay for that program. We have 78 signals, the 5 knockdowns a year is usually what happens for street lights and stuff. We seem to be up a little bit this year. That's one expense we usually don't expect, but with car accidents, we get about 5 knockdowns a year. And then we do about 335 street light repairs throughout the year. And that too is a crew of 4 people with their senior tech. And they do quite a lot of work for us. We've had a lot of problem too with homeless folks breaking into systems and trying to steal different things. We currently at North Thurston High School, the crosswalk there, they've been breaking into that on a regular basis because it's solar, and stealing the battery systems out of them. So that's becoming pretty expensive for us to keep track of. We've also had a couple sites where they broke in just trying to attach to any type of power they can find. So trying to keep everything as locked up as possible. Our street lighting is actually welded shut, so we're good with those, but it's definitely a problem currently. This is a good one. It actually shows the whole transportation department in one shot. You've got the storm system down in the bottom there. You've got crosswalks and signs for signs and markings. You've got street lighting and crosswalk lighting, and then the road itself and sidewalk. So that's our whole department in one picture right there. That's a roundabout on 22nd Avenue. Here's the crews in the street department. This is 2 of our temporary folks here in the back. They're out with the regular crew putting down. This is mastic. Now, if you start to get areas that need some repair but not a complete overlay, this is how we can, through affordability, take care of the road and give it a little bit of care to make it last a little bit longer. You'll see this a lot of times in the wheel trough areas where you start to see the alligator cracking and stuff like that. Just before it, closer to the bottom of that picture, you'll see where it had been crack sealed before, where there was a crack there. And then just past it, where they're at right now, they're putting down the heavier stuff because it's decaying quicker up there. So this allows us to buy some time before we have to do a full overlay. The street department consists of about 7 people. 2 of them are, we get 2 seasonal employees over the summer. They take care of a little over 400 miles of roadway and 223 miles of sidewalk. The biggest difficulty we have in the sidewalk issues is tree lifting. We do quite a lot of that. This last year, we've replaced 6,186 square feet of sidewalk. I can show you here in a second some of the pictures of the devices that we use to do that. And it's actually saved us a ton of time. We don't have to take up every piece of sidewalk and re-pour it. You'll see these folks out doing mastic, crack seal, and pothole repair as well. This is one section of mastic that was laid down with a sample drag box that we have. And then this is when we take up a piece of sidewalk. You can see the roots from the tree that have lifted the sidewalk and caused the issues. This device right here is, hopefully it's not too loud for y'all. That device allows us to lift the section of sidewalk up, trim back all the root systems there, and put that piece of sidewalk back down after we level it. And literally after that's done, the people in Jubilee really love this thing. So after it's done, you'll come back and you'll see like a brand new sidewalk. It looks perfect when they get done. The crews in Jubilee, there's a lot of sprinkler systems and stuff like that too. But the crews have done a really good job of taking care of the area and making it look new when they leave. So we have a lot of fans in Jubilee that like the work that they're doing out there. So, and that's it for our transportation section. There are, if there's any questions or anything too, I can answer those for you.
Scott, I was just hoping that we could get a copy of your presentation. If that would be all right?
Oh, absolutely. I can send that up to you.
Thank you.
Scott, somebody from my neighborhood association had heard about the sidewalk sucker and asked whether HOAs that have private sidewalks might be able to benefit from that. And I told them I thought the answer was no, but can you confirm that?
Yeah, we the city owns sidewalks right now. We are having there's a lot of issues. So we're trying to keep up with ADA regulations, and regulations state that it's a 1/4 inch difference in there, and we're trying to keep up with stuff that's 1.5 inches as quickly as we can. We're looking currently at possibly painting the crack areas that are lifted, just so it's more visibility for the folks out there until we can get to them. We're trying not to grind as many, and once you grind it too much, it can only go so far, and then you have to replace the whole panel. So there are sections that have been lifted that are damaged that we go out, we remove the whole thing and replace it. But with a sidewalk sucker, we can actually lift it, take care of business, put it right back in its place, and we compact underneath it and make sure that it sits nice and level again. And they seem to be pretty happy with that. It's just we have one of them, and to outfit it with crew, another sidewalk sucker, a truck, an excavator, and everything that you need to do that job, you're looking at about $200,000 just to outfit that. So it's not like we can, just have a bunch of them. It would be great. The citizens would love that, but it's kind of expensive too.
I get it.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this one of those pieces of equipment that we share with the county on a needed basis?
No.
Okay.
This piece of equipment goes year round for us. They're out there every day, usually, unless we're shorthanded in a department and have to move them. But that piece of equipment is out there almost every day doing its work. That is owned by the city. Every piece of equipment there is owned by us.
All right.
It was kind of
Anybody else?
a benefit both ways. We needed the excavator as well, so we got an excavator. And then that device kind of became aware to us that it's something that's useful, and it's done a really good job for us.
Yeah, we get to see
Hey,
the
Scott.
Yeah,
condition.
Sorry,
of it.
Malcolm.
Go ahead. You can go.
Hey, what was the number of replaced LED lights again? I remember you said it, I just can't remember it.
we've changed 2,371 lights to LED.
So that's probably close to
About
what,
44%.
45%?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job with that. The thefts that we've had recently, where they've been breaking into stuff, has slowed the guys down a little bit because they've had to address trying to isolate. We have one that's out by the Hogan Bay roundabout, Hogan Bay and Willamette, where it's kind of off the road, the connection area, and they broke into that and have done a lot of damage there. So we actually have the lights in that roundabout turned off because we have to move it. We're going to move it out where it's more visible, harder for somebody to break into. And until we can get that repaired, those will be off for a little bit.
I think you're all aware that the approach for the LED replacement is as the high pressure sodium burnout. When we go to replace those, we replace them with LED. So we're not replacing high pressure sodium that are operational.
Correct.
Okay. And with that, does anybody else have any further questions or comments about transportation maintenance?
If I could just follow up on Scott Egger's comment, is the replacement system such as it is because of the expense?
So, Tim Reicher, under his leadership, promoted this program. We replace the high pressure sodium with the LED because we get about a 50% energy savings. Other cities have taken the approach where they hire, a consultant, a contract, and they replace their whole inventory at once. So what that does is it creates a kind of a functionality, a cash flow issue, whereas they're all going to die at once, and then you're going to have to go replace them all at once. So the reason we think we're doing it right, doing it better, is that we are replacing high pressure sodium with LED as a high pressure sodium fail. So then the high pressure sodium, not only are they, the LED, not only are they much more energy efficient, but they also last a lot longer than high pressure sodium. But this will then, by replacing them as they fail, will stagger out the timing of the replacement for the LED. And essentially you're just replacing the entire head on top of the pull. So you're pulling that whole high pressure sodium head off and replacing it with an LED head. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks.
All right. Go ahead, Scott, with your snow and ice presentation.
All right, here we go with the second one. This will be just an overview of the resources that we have for the city for snow and ice. We'll have the plow route expansion listed, salt storage increased, accelerated de-icing response and materials and equipment. Those are some of the improvements that we've had in the last few years. This is 3 of our larger trucks. We'll usually split those out. The 2 on the right are usually in the southeast here, with the larger one in the northeast. And then we have another one that also does de-icing. That's right here. It also plows and de-ices. This is the updated map with the areas that we've incorporated into the city. We've annexed into the city of Lacey. It's got everything added to it. If you notice down in this section here, we've added this section on Stillicum Road for plowing resources that will take us down past the fire department on Stillicum, just off of Marvin Road, just east of Marvin Road. So that section's been added. In the last year, we've added some of these red in the southwest corner of Lacey. We've added some of these red routes as secondary routes, and that's mostly to support intercity transit routes and stuff like that. So on the left here is our old salt bins that used to be here at the shop. It was in pretty bad shape. It would hold about 30 tons of salt for us. We currently, out at the pit, we've added these on the right. So the one on the left is no longer here. The one on the right will hold about 160 tons. And you can tell the color difference. The stuff on the right is the old salt that we used to use. And the one on the left is called, it's a new ice called Ice Kicker. And it also adds, I want to say it's potassium chloride, a little bit of that to it, which allows a little bit colder action. So you'll see they won't list it on their reviews and stuff of exactly what they put in it, but usually potassium chloride or magnesium chloride are the 2 additives that usually go into salt for de-icing issues throughout the United States. So on the left, you can see the one on the left is a little bluer than the one on the right. These are some of our flatbed trucks and dump trucks. The dump trucks can actually add blades to them as well. You notice the rubber bottom, that kind of saves us in damaging any buttons and stuff. But a lot of times we'll use these. The city of Lacey is really cool because it's kind of once we have a big snow event, it's not just these few people that work in transportation. We have a truck with a blade on it in wastewater. We have tons of support from parks. They come down and help us. So it's about 50 people involved, anytime from the people that receive the calls, the police letting us know. It's kind of everybody comes together when we have a big event and takes care of things. And that's from plowing over at the community center and senior center, plowing City Hall, and making sure people can get into those locations. The big events, the big trucks are handling the primary routes, which on that map is the big green routes on there. And I'll go back to that here in a second. You can see the green routes are the primary sections that we try to address first. But these small ones really help with City Hall and things like that. Some of the smaller jobs. There's a couple of our secondary routes as well, where it's really narrow, where they have vehicles and stuff along the road. So these will have to be used in those areas as well, so we don't cause any damage. This is our DEICER production site. So we'll take some of that ice that's in the bins and we can bring it over, and we can store about 10,000 gallons there. And when we do that, it takes about, what was it? 1,550 pounds of salt to make 800 gallons of brine. And that's about 22 cents a gallon when it's all said and done, for cost per gallon. We used to spend 53 cents a gallon when we bought it from Thurston County. So it's quite the reduction. The price has gone up a little bit from the last time, strictly because of the new ice kicker salt that we use. So that price has gone up a little bit. On the left is what we put the salt into, and then we have a pump that adds water to it and puts it into our containers here. And then if we can have one person working on that when we have an event where we have to de-ice, it allows that to stay full at all times, so that the trucks can come back and pick up more de-icing stuff when they need to. We spread about 3,500 to 4,000 gallons per application. So keeping those full so that we can address cold days is really important.
So can I ask you a quick question?
You bet.
It looks, never mind. It looks like you're about to cover it.
Oh, the de-icers?
Well, I was kind of like wondering, like, how does it work? Like, okay, so the front of the truck has the plow, and then the rear of the truck has sprays the brine.
Correct.
Okay.
The weird thing is most of our trucks don't have plows on them. Well, I'll show you. Right here is one of our flatbeds that sprays. They are strictly for spraying brine only. This is one of our larger dump trucks, and it's got a plow on the front and brine on the back, so it can do both. Whereas our other larger dump trucks have sanders in the back, where it's a combination of sand and salt, or sand and ice kicker, and they'll go around and be able to do. They're kind of doing two jobs at once, taking care of two items at one time. All of them have that dual, except for the flatbed trucks that you see here. But it's, you can see this one will do 2,000 gallons and will last about 4 to 6 hours. This one's 325 gallons, and one route's 8 to 10 hours. So they'll come back and fill accordingly. But like I said, per application to cover the areas that we cover, it's about 3,500 to 4,000 gallons that we have to use. There's a 750 gallon capacity truck.
So, and you probably recall the amount of time we spend plowing is, minimal compared to the amount of time we spend placing de-icer. There's, a lot of winters where we don't get any snow. We're not plowing at all, but with moisture on the road during the winter, as temperatures approach freezing, then we're putting de-icer out just to prevent that, that frozen layer, that can cause cars to lose traction.
Yeah, as we talk about this, I somehow feel fortunate that most of our roads are fairly flat, and we're not doing a whole lot of uphill.
Yeah, there's not a lot of uphill areas. We do hit most of those with the de-icer prior to. We keep a really close eye on the weather. And as we see some of those cyclical days of below freezing, we start to get this out. Sometimes you can get caught off guard where it ends up dropping a little more, and the police department calls us in the middle of the night. They'll call us in the middle of the night, and we'll get crews out right away as if it's starting to turn into a situation where it's icy in areas, and we'll start hitting those heavy areas, like going into intersections and stuff like that, bends in road. So we try to take care of that as soon as we have that opportunity.
Well, I guess that's one thing that Olympia didn't do was leave us with a bunch of hills.
Yeah, we don't have. We don't
cut
have
this
the
whole thing
hills.
up and called this Lacey.
I actually stayed in a hotel in Seattle that was on a big road, and we sat on the balcony all night watching cars slide through the intersection at the bottom and yelling at people starting to enter the crosswalk like there's a car coming, and you'd see them slide right through. So
Oh yeah, Queen Anne is great for that.
yeah,
Queen Anne, Beacon Hill.
that's where. Yeah, we were right over at the end of Pike where it starts to go up the hill, and you could see them come racing down straight through. So I grew up in the Spokane area as well, so we used to watch it a lot. And, these trucks would have been my nemesis because we used to run up to the stop sign and grab the back bumper and get pulled around town as kids. But we don't get that in Lacey because they'll hit a sewer lid and wouldn't be any fun. But
Hey, Scott, when you lay down a coat of saline on the road, how long does it typically last?
I could get that information for you. It depends on how many cars go through it too, because it will track a little bit, which really helps us a lot. We'll usually lay down in the evening and it will stay there. The benefit of not using just salt, it also doesn't splatter out and away. It usually sticks right there in the track, in wheel track areas, because it's usually a little bit lower. So you can get some of that stuff in there, and then vehicles going through it can help us track and break up that stuff. But I could get that answer for you.
It's okay. I was just curious.
If you don't have rain when you put it down, if you don't have rain and snow, it'll last maybe up to 3 days or so. But if you put it down as soon, if the weather forecast changes and the temperature doesn't drop and you get rain, the rain will flush it right away.
Yep.
So here we have, we continue to monitor the weather throughout the season to take appropriate action. We pre-treat roads. This is all stuff that I talked about a few seconds ago to reduce ice before snowfall, to reduce the stick. Apply road brine, salt, and sand to roadways depending on weather. Salt storage, like I said, has been increased over the years. Quicker de-icing response. That's just we've got more vehicles than we used to, and we've got the resource of having the brine, being able to keep the brine made and prepared. We've already made a batch, so every couple of days we go out and circulate it to keep the salt mixed in, and that way it's ready to go when we're going to need it here coming up. And we're always trying to perfect it, the routes, when we apply everything else. The crews learn more and more every year of what works best for the different areas. So we're really trying to keep up on that, and they take a lot of pride in that themselves. So like I said, the green here on the map, this is an updated as of about a week ago, our map for this. So I can also get this to you, Councilmember Miller, if y'all are interested, Councilmember Cox, Councilmember Stedman, if you'd like it.
Yeah, we like to have the presentation because we also get to share this with the full council.
Absolutely.
And that way everybody gets to understand what it is.
Absolutely. I will get those to you this morning. Is there any other questions with the snow and ice response?
I would just make one comment. It's not really related. It's more of a personal note or whatever. But the 4 degrees of Scott, from Scott Spence at the top to you and your other boss, Scott, and your other boss, Scott. It's fitting that you're in the transportation. I'm only aware of these 4 Scotts who I consider all friends being I only think one is was prior Coast Guard, which is fitting because your transportation department for the city of Lacey, right?
Yeah.
And Coast Guard is the Department of Transportation. So,
It was.
you know,
Now-
it's just,
now it's defense or Homeland.
oh, now it
Security.
is, yes.
Yeah.
But when you were in,
Yeah, when I was in the Department of Transportation.
yeah. But what I'm getting at is, you know, city employees are friends with most of the residents of Lacey, and it's no difference from the top to the bottom. And you know, we have fun and joke around, but you guys are very professional. You do your job near perfectly every single time, and you're no different. So I just wanted to throw that out there because, you know, you don't have that at every city where the residents are friends with the employees and vice versa and that stuff. So we joke around a little bit, but you guys run a tight ship and it's not by accident. So, you know, you guys should be recognized for the great work that you do, all kidding aside. But yeah, just appreciate you guys. And it just adds to the quality of life, whether it's winter, summer, or spring or fall. Rain or shine, you guys are out there doing your job every single day. And it's flawless because you never hear about it. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm just, you know, trying to give you guys that a boy or whatever you want to call it. But I take a lot of pride in you guys doing your job and doing it right, and people barely noticing. And you guys should too, because it doesn't go unrecognized. So,
Appreciate it.
And your relationship with the way you maintain your relationship with the county so that it's smooth and seamless, that we don't have to deal with a bunch of crap. I'm going to say that Mullen and Carpenter are a very good example of you know, that MOU and that relationship that you guys have maintained with the county to get things done in such a way that, you know, it gets all done without a whole bunch of extra. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you.
oh, one
Yeah.
other thing, I have an Army cup, but I don't have a Coast Guard cup.
I didn't know
I'm just
that.
saying.
Yeah, you just heard brownie points.
Nice. I just want to make a couple comments, you know, to sort of how the plan's put together too when we see a snowstorm coming. And, you know, one of the things that Scotty is super, super great at being proactive. And so as we see something coming, he plans way, way ahead of having everything prepared and ready. And he's already currently ready, you know, to start putting down DEICER now and spreading salt and sand. So that's fantastic. You know, but as we see a snowstorm coming, one of the things we do is we gather names of who's available for what routes, who's going to be driving what truck, and we start making assignments. And that's not only in the transportation department, but that's operations wide. Up at City Hall, you know, Michelle and Jared are involved with handling phone calls. Kelly's down here involved with tracking. And so there's lots of different players, as Scott mentioned earlier. And we start looking at what that involvement needs to look like, and then splitting things up into shifts too. We're looking at clearing Police Alley at City Hall. We'll have different assignments for different people of different hours, at midnight, 3 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and who's showing up when, how many staff members that's going to need. And then Scott puts together a 12-hour on and 12-hour off plan for his snow plowing throughout the night. So, you know, he's very, very proactive and thoughtful of how he does that and how many personnel it needs and who's going to be available when through those hours. So just a side note I wanted to share with you guys.
And we are grateful.
Thank you.
I know the residents are, because I talked to them about it. And the kids who get sidewalks to walk onto school now are also grateful. Okay, does anybody have any other questions or comments about the 2020 through 2021 snow and ice plan?
No.
Okay, seeing none, I will say that we have reached the end of our agenda. I want to thank you guys for being here and thank you for your presentations, Scott. And since we are roughly 50% Scott today, are we 50%? Yeah,
We
we're
are.
half Scott. Okay. And with that, I will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you all for being here. Have a great day.
Thank you.
And we appreciate your information.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Hi, everyone in Scott's.
See you, Mike.